It says old school rap icon KRS-One put it this way: rap is something that you do. Hip hop is something that you live. And as it comes to Murs, he said you could be a rapper and you could be a musician and you could be a pop star, says Murs, but it doesn't make you hip hop. Hip hop is definitely, it's the culture. There's elements to it. There's all types of things that go along with it. Rap is not authentic. Rap you hear on the radio is not what's going on in the black communities, stated Murs. Assuming that these men are always partying and always violent, that that's an indicator of black life in America is way off base. Those are Murs' comments in relation to the topic that we're talking about. I'll go around the room, and ask you guys what you think about what I just read based off Murs and KRS-One. Do you guys agree with, especially with Murs? I want to hit more on Murs and his comments. Do you agree with those comments, or is he a little off base? And I will read those again if you want me to, just for clarification. Lone, I'll come to you first. How do you feel about his assessment of this, of this topic?
I think he's correct. I think rapping is a part of hip hop and can be a part of hip hop. But hip hop, when we talk about the culture of what it is and the elements that are involved in what makes hip hop, rapping is a part of that. And so I think his assessment is pretty accurate.
Okay, that's fair. Spoolz, talk to me.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with both Karis and Murs. It's interesting how of like the elements of hip hop, right? That rapping is the one that took off as much as it did.
Definitely did.
And has almost become bigger than hip hop in a way. If some, you know what I mean? Like, not to me, but in a lot of ways, like the aspect of hip hop that is rap has become larger than the whole that is hip hop.
Right.
At least more well known. But now hip hop's a culture, man, and rap is an aspect of it. But it's just been interesting that what rap has done in general. Like I said, it's become bigger than hip hop culture.
Hey, Moore, let me before I come to you, let me play devil's advocate here. You think that this train of thought is outdated and that hip hop can evolve, become something different outside of the core elements of hip hop? Because if you think about it, a lot of those elements that are the core elements are not as prominent as they were back in the 80s and the 90s. So now, everything has changed. The DJ has become something that, people in their bedroom can just download and get started. Like, it's not an art form as much as it used to be. Even the MC, like, everybody raps. I can go outside my apartment right now and I live in a residential neighborhood. Somebody got a mixtape. So things that are special as they were back then, they're not now. They're not looked at as sacred art forms. So am I wrong when I say hip hop maybe has evolved past those elements, but it still could be listed as hip hop? Or are you looking at it from a standpoint of these guys are right, and the five elements are just, I think it's five. Yeah, am I tripping? I think it's five elements. Those are missing. They're gone. We take those out of the equation, and we go from there. Like, there's two sides to it. I mean, so how do you feel about that? If I was are you with Murs, or do you think there's been evolution? Things have changed.
Look, I can remember the first times I saw hip hop be commercialized. And one of the first times is I remember when they were trying to sell Fruity Pebbles, and they had Barney Rubble. My name is Barney, and I came to say, hey, I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way. And I'm like, okay, I go back and listen to that. That's rap, but that's not hip hop. That's them trying to sell some fucking cereal.
For the record, DJing, rapping, emceeing, graffiti, and b-boying. Just for the record, make sure we get there.
And some people also say knowledge is like the
knowledge
sixth.
as well. Yeah.
That's why I said five, but I feel you. But go ahead.
And I feel like there is a disconnect, like, 'cause okay, I'll just give an example. Whenever you see DJ Metronome and myself, and we're rocking, as you will. We'll take that Tuesday, whether it be virtually through Twitch or when we can get back to the world and you see us at Take That Tuesday, or anybody I rock with who's DJing. My whole thing is like, look how good the DJ is.
Right.
I'm gonna say his name.
Yep.
He's the best. Whoever I'm rocking with, you're not rocking with the best, because that is hip hop. As an MC, my job as an MC is not to shine a light on myself. My job is to shine a light on the DJ, because that's how it was originally. And I don't think that we can get away from that. So, it's easy to say, okay, well, hip hop is transcended and it's something else now, and we're selling hamburgers and liquor and shit, and like we're just bigger than what it was back in the park in the Bronx, and when Kool Herc was trying to get some money for some school supplies. But we always got to remember that that's the essence. And when we get too far away from that, then it's not hip hop anymore. It's rapping. Somebody might be DJing, but it's not hip hop. It's not. It just isn't. I mean, like I said, I'm 43 years old, so like I am. We are all old heads, but I'm the oldest of the old heads. Right. So I have a certain way I feel about these things. So I agree with Murs.
John 74. Nobody knows that.
You can see it in his beard.
And I don't like to ever think that we can just get away from the elements and the things that are the foundation of what it is that we do now, because we feel like, okay, well, nobody wants to see anybody up rocking, and nobody wants, we don't care to look at the beauty of graffiti, or we don't really want to hear anybody go get loose on the turntables, because we just want to hear the songs, and we don't really want to hear anybody get buck wild on the microphone, because like we want to hear just a verse and a hook. I think if we get away from that, then we should call it something else. Like I said, when I'll hear people who are rapping on the radio, and I'm not going to call out anybody's name, but I'll be like, this has nothing to do with hip hop. Just because there's a snare and a bass line, and a couple of kicks, and the person is rhyming, I'll be like, okay, yes, that's rap. I'll give them that. But for you to say that this is hip hop, no, we're not going to put you in that category, and don't expect that kind of respect.
Let me come to Lone. Lone, let me ask you this. What Jay Moore described is correct. We talk about the elements and the foundation of what was built, what hip hop was built on. That's cool. I'm not mad at that. I get all that.
That's cool. Hip hop's cool.
I mean, I love it. I was raised on it, right? So I get it. It's very important to me. It's pretty cool. Very important part of my life. So I get it. I'm cool with that. Lone, let me ask you this. I kind of was the same question I asked to Jay Moore. What do you say to the people that are the generation that is below us that says the evolution of hip hop can still be, positive and can still have a positive impact on the culture, even though it doesn't embody, the actual, quote unquote elements? Like, what would you say to that? Like, are you opposed to that? Or because that we have purists. Hip hop has purists. You can say what you want. There are purists. There are people that, understand evolution and or whatever you want to call it. Like, it gets worse or better. It's subjective. But what do you say to people that say that? Like, that are like, what? Hip hop is evolving in a good way. It's more commercialized. People are having an opportunity to get more money, create brands, etc. Like, are you buying that, or are you still with the core? Just asking. I asked Jay Moore that, but I didn't come to you with that. I'm just asking.
I feel like people can have their opinions realistically, but I do think that everything evolves with time. I think hip hop has evolved with time. We've seen it evolve with time, and I think the main thing is, as long as it's not losing its core purpose and it's still rooted in what it is, I think some level of commercialism is okay. But it can't lose the essence. And it's really hard to define what that essence is. Like I can't.
The St.
Like I
Ides
can't-
commercials.
Yes,
were a good example.
Bradley Spoolz.
You know, like
Yeah.
I can't have a conversation with somebody who doesn't know anything about hip hop culture, about what hip hop culture is and what isn't. I mean, you can, but the levels of grasping it are going to be a lot less. And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I do think it evolves, and I think it can evolve, and I don't think that for something to be hip hop, this is just my opinion, that it has to embody all of the elements at all times. You know,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, I feel like it can move around a little bit.
Yeah.
But from somebody on the inside like we are and been around it our entire lives and been talking about it on this show for 4 years, but have been talking about it and the nuances for who knows how long. You know, we have a very keen understanding of what is and what isn't hip hop to us, and based upon like just being able to view it. And I don't know, it's kind of an interesting conversation, I guess. You know,
I mean,
It is.
there are levels to the conversation because I'm a big person on perspective. So perspective from, we'll just use us four as examples. Like perspective from Jay Moore, who's an MC and is out in clubs and side by DJs, but also has grown up in the culture of hip hop, radio, etc. He's gonna have a certain perspective. DJ Spoolz, his perspective might be different from a standpoint of someone that grew up with hip hop and has been a DJ for a while. Like Lone is a producer, runs his own blog. He has a blog, website, been engulfed in the culture forever, submissions, all that. So it's going to change. Like, people that make records are not going to look at it or, not be as, will be connected to it a little bit different from the average consumer. So it's a lot of gray area there. You know what I mean? Because everybody's opinion is going to be different, but the core foundation of it, I could see people, younger people especially, possibly, trying to challenge us in terms of the evolution and if it's good or bad. But those actual elements, man, it's been a long time. You know what I mean? It's been a long time.
And just because a sound changes doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's not hip hop too. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
And we've seen that argument a lot. Oh, this doesn't sound like 1994 Nas, so this isn't hip hop. Like, no, the sounds will evolve. It's okay. Sit down, have a beer.
I agree.
Meditate. Get right with yourself. It's okay.
Relax. Relax.
If you're gonna have a beer, have a Sun King.
Yeah, have a Sun King if you would.
I see you.
If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/bringingdowntheband and join our private Discord community with talks on hip-hop, music, news, and everything else.